How's my hair?
Looks fine.
Perfect.
Just want to make sure my hair looks good. I'm ready for my close-up, Mr. No, okay.
I wish we had Wi-Fi.
So this is class 4. You've made it halfway. We're really glad you guys could come and join us. So the icebreaker for today is, what are 2 things you've done to prepare for labor?
Who wants to start?
Oh, come on, there's only 2 of us.
Katie.
Nailed it.
Well, he was such a person, like, I'm not like a dancer or anything.
I'm still calling kidding.
I don't know.
Can I help her? Can I help her?
You
too?
can. Yes,
I feel like taking this class is one of the main
That's
things
true.
that we've done. So I've got you gotta do the other one.
I've talked to different friends or family that's been pregnant about it, just to find out things. I know it's gonna be different for everybody, but
Right. And Tadra, have you done anything?
I mean,
I can think of
the
something big.
prepare-
Yeah.
It would like had more other gifts.
Yeah, that's it.
I was gonna sit down for
experience under your belt.
One of the worst things you could do, and I watched a baby story on TLC for like days and days and days and days before I had my first pregnancy.
Why
And
did
I
you
thought
do
I
that?
was really like, oh, I know what's gonna happen. Like, yeah, it takes longer than half an hour.
So you mean they cut stuff out of that show?
They must. 'Cause there's a lot they don't go into that they should. Like, it's the first time I was like, somebody told me you might poop while you, and I was like,
I'm like, what? I told my husband that. I'm like, I hope that doesn't happen.
I was like, I am not pooping on a table. And I told my
You
husband, I was
actually-
like, you're gonna have to figure out how to make that not happen. Not pooping in front of all y'all.
She's actually told me that for years, even before we were
Yeah.
pregnant. She's like, I'm
I
gonna
want
poop
to
on
do
the
that.
table.
Lord have mercy.
But those are things that people don't usually tell you.
Talk about it, yeah, that
about,
is true.
You know, I did all the TLC story, baby stories. Not once did they poop on the
They
table.
cut that out.
They cut that out.
The thing is, if a mom does have a bowel movement while she's pushing, they just basically take a cloth and wipe it away. It's not like, hey, everybody look what she did. It's not anything along
Ew,
those
she's
lines.
gross.
What you
Okay. Tell us 2 things you've done to prepare for the birth.
The birth being the baby actually coming out.
God. Well, exercise helps. I've been swimming a lot.
Good. Very good. Very good.
Not I. I've just been waiting.
Exercising, you work 2 jobs.
There you
That
go.
is
I
exercise.
I do work 2 jobs. Yeah.
And I can say from an outsider's perspective that that's really impressive, because I know, like, she doesn't work. Thankfully, I can, support us, but like, I couldn't imagine her having to work even 1 job right now, or mine too. So.
Even
No,
left.
for real though.
She's like, I would have done it. I would have worked, but
Just know that it is exercise. So
But you're not bored? What are you doing? Just home waiting?
pretty much.
Taking care of the dog.
Here's the
Swimming,
thing. Our
yeah.
background story is it took us years and years and years to get pregnant.
Oh, okay.
So he's like, nope, you're pregnant. We're putting you in a bubble. You're not
Yeah.
doing this. You're not doing that.
It's the only time she's out of the house. It's for this guy.
Let me out of my cage.
Like I
Wait a
said,
minute.
I'll bring domestic violence.
Blink 3 times if I need to call law enforcement for you. Don't choke on that water either. Okay, so to prepare for the birth, I'm sure that you guys are, first of all, taking this class. But you guys have thought about, do I want my magic hour? How quickly do I want to breastfeed? Do I want them to take my baby over to the warmer, or do I want to hold my baby right away? I'm sure you guys have thought about that kind of thing. That is preparing for the birth.
Have you been doing your Kegels? That's helping prepare for the birth.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I'm sure one of the big things you guys have been thinking about breastfeeding. Or not, depending on what you want, and that's a personal decision. So list 2 things that you've done to prepare for parenting.
I've been preparing like my whole life. I've kids for years and years and years, so.
I have to move this stuff.
And they're working with Best, their coordinator.
It's
So
true.
we're both over
It's
there
true.
chit-chatting.
They're not listening to us.
No, I heard you.
I was listening.
I was having a little panic attack. Okay. So, preparing for parenting. Have you guys bought anything for the baby?
Yeah,
A lot.
just today,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
previously too.
Have you guys read any books on being a
I was
parent?
gonna say I read a lot, and actually we have an app that I
Okay.
read like every day. So
And Entendre, again with those older kids. So, yeah.
Yeah.
They got to watch the
I'll pretty much
Happiest
get
Baby
it,
on
yeah.
Block.
Did they? Wow. Very cool. Very cool. So we're gonna go ahead and go in class 4. This is the big class because this is the class we're gonna have the baby, and we're gonna watch the video as well.
No.
stay.
So we've done the first stage of labor. We've done early, active, and transition. So if you notice on this slide, right between the first and second stages, there's a resting stage. And what happens is we believe the body gives the mom a little break, and maybe even no contractions or very minor contractions for that time period. This is not something that's guaranteed, but a lot of times this will happen. And of course, in birth, our baby is going to come out. So this shows the baby's head. We call this partially emerged. You can see how the baby's head is elongated to come through the birth canal. And of course, the rest of the baby will follow through afterwards. So the second stage of labor includes the latent phase, and this is that resting phase. The cervix is completely dilated to 10, and the contractions can space out or stop for a short time. As the uterus it has to kind of get real tight around the baby so it can do that final push, okay? And it would have gone from the big balloon down just to the baby. Contraction pattern is usually 3 to 5 minutes apart, lasts 60 seconds with only one peak. So this is not a crazy intense time period as far as our contractions are concerned. Emotionally, mom's going to get that second wind. She's going to be able to recharge, maybe even taking a quick nap. Doesn't that sound great? And and mom's going to be very relieved that those contractions are further apart, that they're not as intense, and she can take that breath. For the dad or the support person, in a transition, it's not a fun time. It is very intense, very emotional. This is a time period where she's going to have said some things maybe that she didn't necessarily mean. Might have been true, but didn't necessarily mean. So, it's okay that you called me a bleep bleeper because I get it. It's okay. And, you get a reminder that pushing is coming. Pushing is the most labor intensive time period, but of course it doesn't last all that long usually. Praise and encouragement. Now we keep saying that. That's in every single one of these, praise and encouragement. She's about to pass a watermelon through a hole the size of a grate. Praise and encouragement doesn't even begin to accomplish what needs to be done. And of course, breathing and vocalization. None of us want to be known as the screamer. However, moaning and groaning and maybe even screaming is okay. You're pushing a watermelon out the hole the size of a grate. If the mom has an epidural, she may not recognize this phase as, she doesn't have a whole lot of feeling as far as her lower body. She can't really feel the contractions. So you may not recognize that she's in this actual state. And then we begin the descent phase. And descent is exactly what it sounds like. This is the baby coming down. Mom has an almost uncontrollable urge to push with that vaginal rectal pressure. Yeah, this is the time period where if you're going to have that bowel movement, this is it, unfortunately. The sensation of contractions change, and the mom may not be able to feel when one begins and one ends. It's just the where the baby is. Baby descend in a 2-step forward, 1-step back fashion. So if you're watching on the mirror and you see a little bit of the head and then you don't, you see a little of the head and you don't, that's perfectly normal. If the baby just came out, the baby would tear you. The contractions are very, very strong. In fact, they're pushing a person out of you, so they're going to be very strong. The baby's descent is measured in stations, and they actually measure where the top of the baby's is compared to the ischial spines of the pelvis, which are... Sorry, I meant to take this off before. Somebody put this all together. That's nice. Oh, that was nice of her. Which are down here. So where's the baby compared to this? Is the baby above this? That would be negative, or is the baby below, which would be positive? And positive is where we want it to be. And basically, it goes from 0 to 4. So +4 is where you want to be, because that's when the baby's out. And cardinal movements. We're going to talk about those here in a minute, but basically the baby has to turn and move to fit out. If the baby just laid there, it wouldn't make it out. We definitely want the vagina to slowly stretch. The faster it stretches, the faster we're going to have, or the more tears we're going to have. And the baby moves down, comes back up, moves down. It's kind of infuriating sometimes, and this is when moms will get a little discouraged. It's not coming down, it's not moving. Yeah, actually it is. It's just slow going, which is what you want in some ways. Emotionally, the baby's coming. You're so excited, tired, of course. Pushing may feel good, bring relief to some of the pain. Of course, it's going to be a little bit of burning as well, but it's going to feel good to push. After an extended time period, you're going to be exhausted, but it's one of those things you just got to keep going. And the mother may focus and interact more with the people around her because she's so excited and, looking for directions and what do I do to get this done alike. For dad, assist mother to use gravity assisting positions, squatting, dangling, semi-reclining, side lying, sitting on a toilet or bedside commode. Now, when you're actually pushing, the doctor or the hospital is going to have a lot to say about what position you're in. They're not going to let you deliver on the toilet. And the reason for that is infection reasons. And I wouldn't want to be born in a toilet either. So we can definitely understand that one. Encourage open throat breathing and vocalization. Oh, it's definitely okay. Encourage pushing when the mother feels the urge to push. Or we talked about the monitor where we can see the contractions going up and it's peaking. Well, when you're at the top of the peak, you definitely want to be pushing then. And then you could say to her, this is your last push. You got one more push in this contraction, whatever the pattern is going to be. Praise her efforts and encourage the mom by telling her the baby's almost out. Sneak in a peek and say, ooh, I can see the head. All of these things are very encouraging. And encourage the mom to either touch the baby's head or view the crowning in a mirror, which can help the mom understand how to push and how the baby's going to come out. Visualize the baby coming down and out. And when the baby's actually being born, there's going to be a lot of movement. They've got to break the bed down. They've got to get the big table of instruments up. The lights have to come out. You're going to go from one nurse to at least two nurses and the provider, usually. So there's going to be a lot of commotion, which could be really upsetting for mom because she just wants to focus here, but there's a lot going on. So, your support person or Chris, keep her looking at you. Keep her, eye contact and the like, and just let all that. But if somebody's being disrespectful or just a lot loud, then they need to stop. And you need to say, hey, knock it off. If mom has an epidural, this descent phase can definitely take longer. And the mom can touch or use the mirror to see how to push because very quickly you're going to be able to see the baby's head. And it really does start out as just a wee little dark area that's the baby's hair, and then that slowly gets bigger. And remind the mom to visualize the baby coming out and down. So fetal position. We talked about yesterday where we talked about that anterior position, which is really how you want the baby to be to come out because that's the smallest area they had. And then the posterior position. So if you're hearing about that position, I found the slide last night and I wanted to make sure that we put it in so you guys would understand exactly what they were saying. So these are the cardinal movements, and the baby must negotiate the mother's pelvis to have a delivery, otherwise it gets stuck. So there's 7 of them. Engagement is when the baby goes on the cervix, descent is coming down. Flexation and internal rotation is when the baby is turning and flexing to get their head through. Extension, external rotation, and expulsion all happen when the baby's born. When the head's born, they turn their head. And of course, expulsion is expulsion. I had to put this in here. Descent is gradual in first labors, but of course in ongoing pregnancies it's much shorter. Internal rotation, this begins at the level of the ischial spines, which is where I showed you on the pelvis. And it's not done until the baby is almost out. And then extension, the rest of them are occurring during the actual birth. So here's pelvic station. So this is kind of the same thing I was showing you, although I did show you the wrong part on the actual pelvis. A little embarrassing, but that's all right. So it's more here. I've never done it. I don't know. So we'll go by that. Here. Hey, we learn something new every time we do this, I promise. So the descent stage, this is crowning. This is when the baby is actually The head is this round in the vagina. It's not out yet, but this is as wide as the vagina is going to get. So crowning is the ability, okay, they said half dollar size circle of the baby's head in the vaginal opening. The head is at +3. This stretching of the vagina they call the ring of fire because it really is a very burning, painful sensation. The peritoneum will become numb eventually from the pressure of the baby's head. It puts a lot of pressure on the nerves and they go numb. The mother stops that really strong pushing. Remember, we don't want the baby to come out real fast. So that when they say stop pushing, do that. Sometimes they'll have moms coughing, and that's all the push they want so that the baby isn't tearing you. The doctor can do a peritoneal massage, and basically they take an oil or another lubrication and they kind of rub the opening of the vagina to help it stretch. I don't know how many doctors actually do that. That's something maybe a midwife might do more. And peritoneal support by the doctor. When the head's coming out, you'll see them kind of pushing towards the bottom between the vagina and the rectum, and that's also to help prevent the tearing. And, a lot of moms, they want to push, but they're so afraid they're going to rip open, and that's something that you have to, push as they're telling you and know that you can't hold the baby in. It has to come out. So the baby's head emerges and rotates to the side. The nose and mouth are sectioned. The top shoulder is born first, but then the shoulders come out, and then the remainder of the baby just comes out easily. And of course, mom is going to feel 1,000% better. All of the physical relief, the relief that the baby's out crying and the like.
Okay. All right. So emotionally, mom, you're gonna be very excited because the baby's coming, obviously, and then also you might be afraid of tearing. But if you've already prepared yourself before and know that it's a possibility, you can kind of minimize that fear and think kind of like, okay, I might tear, but I'm gonna follow their instructions and they're gonna do the best that they can to make it so I don't. The partner may be focused on the birth instead of the mother because he's excited, or your support person, Tandra.
Mm-hmm.
Don't forget about the mother, though. Yes, you're excited about the baby being born and you might want to see, but just keep talking to mom and try to multitask and talking to her and kind of paying attention to the birth. Lots of activity may cause the mother to feel out of control and lose focus. She talked about that before. The mother might feel a sense of urgency with each contraction, and they might also have like a strong urge to push, but it's important that if the doctor says don't push, they know what's going on down there, so just don't push. Dad, that's going to be your big help, because if they say don't push, she's going by her body, and so you need to remind her. And we're going to go over a couple breathing things, and one that's definitely going to help her not push. So after the birth, the mother will feel emotional release, and she may laugh or cry. So honestly, I think both of you will be crying. You're both going to be crying and happy because the baby's out and healthy. Have you guys thought about if you're going to do immediate skin to skin?
I would say probably.
Yeah. Okay, so then they're probably going to pull the baby out and put them right on your chest. So just be prepared for that. And then Dad, you can be as involved with that as you want to as well. You can touch the baby. Just remember that the baby has to stay on mom for that first hour. Now the role of the support person, of course, encourage the slow, controlled breathing once the baby's head begins to crown. We're going to go over that with you so you'll be prepared, so you don't have to worry like, what type of breathing? We're going to make sure you know before you leave.
Okay.
Caregiver may apply warm oil to soothe and lubricate the perineum. We talked about that. Keep environment relaxed and continue to praise and encourage. Again, we're going to say that lots and lots of times. This is where some of your comfort techniques can come in as well. So while she's pushing, you can work on the breathing. You can talk to her about how the baby's going to look and how he's going to be so healthy. See, I said he.
We're stuck on that one today, guys.
It would encourage mother to view the birth if you want to. So if they allow it, some hospitals won't allow you to use the mirror. You can ask them beforehand and ask your provider and see if they're comfortable with that. And if you can, it's something to think about. I mean, you might think, no, I don't want to see all that, but it could be very beneficial for you as well. So, Tandra, have you done that before?
Never.
No? Have you thought about it?
I mean, I've had a videotape, a recording, so I saw it after the fact, but never while it was going on.
Okay, so it could be beneficial. It could help make labor easier. It just depends on the woman and what type of person you are. Honestly, I don't know if I could do it because I have a very weak stomach. I don't know if I could look at it, but it just depends on who you are. It's worth at least trying.
Would you?
If you,
She's like, I don't know if I would be able to do that.
now I know at least one of our local hospitals only has one mirror. So if you're thinking that's something you want to do, ask for it quick.
Yes, definitely. And then if the mother has an epidural, she may need specific clear, short directions in pushing because she might not be able to feel so much below. And Tandra, do you want to talk about that a little bit?
I mean, I just say don't have an epidural if you're, you know, if it's not medically necessary, like if you don't need it. Because I had an epidural and I had a very bad experience with it, you know. You don't get that sense of like, you know, once you get, you're gonna see once you have a baby and once you have the afterbirth, it's just like a feeling of total relief. But with the epidural, you don't get that, you know, so it's kind of like you're really missing out on the whole, on the whole birthing process, you know what I'm saying, because you can't feel it. I mean, the pain is, it's bearable, you know. Yes, it's gonna hurt, of course, but it's not gonna be too, you know, because your body is getting ready for delivering a baby, you know what I mean? So I don't know what you have in mind, but you know, if you don't need it.
Would you have an epidural with your first one?
No, with my third baby, I had an epidural, and I absolutely regret it because I couldn't feel anything, right? So the baby was coming, but I didn't know, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So when I went to go change positions, the baby head was already like pretty much out, you know what I mean? So that could have caused a lot of complications as far as, you know, anything could have happened to him, you know what I mean? Because you can't feel when the baby is actually coming down and out. So, you know, that's just my personal opinion about it, you know?
And it's a like I did 15 hours of labor with my first child before we decided to do an emergency C-section. And man, I mean, the pain is, it's terrible, but like the minute, you know, they get there, you're like, okay, let's
Do this
do it
again.
again. You know, there's a reason why we have more than one child. It's because our brain allows us to forget a lot of it. And it's, you know, and it's also one of those, there's a TV show on Netflix called The Incredible Kimmy Schmidt, but she talks about, she's in this, you know, underground camp, she was kidnapped by this guy, but she's like, you can do anything for 10 seconds, and she's like, and then when you get through that 10 seconds, you can do 10 more, you can do 10 more seconds, and my thing has always been, you can do anything for a minute, you know, it's a minute, and most of our contractions last a minute and a half, so if you think about it, you know, it's painful in that minute, but then you do have a little bit of rest, and then you have a chance, especially if you have a good support system beside you. There's that's so much better for you and the baby than to give, because of course everything we put in our body goes to our baby. Even in labor, we forget that sometimes.
You told us too that it could make it so you can't breastfeed right away, right?
Right, because the baby's more lethargic because it has the medicine in its system as well, and then the baby wants to sleep. Just like if you take something.
Legs. Oh my God, listen. You cannot, it's like you paralyzed for like 5 hours. You want to do anything. You want to go to the bathroom. You just want to, you want to do anything and you cannot, you can't move.
They put a catheter in.
It's terrible.
Yeah.
It's, you know, nowadays a lot of people want to do, I call it microwave, because you know, you want what you want, but you don't want to experience anything hard for it. But it's just a way better experience to not, I mean, if it's not medically necessary. You know, sometimes you can't, you know, you don't have a choice. But just to choose it, I say.
Thank you for sharing.
Yes. But on the other side, contractions are extremely painful. Having a baby is extremely painful. And if a mom needs an epidural, if the contractions are too much, if it's too intense, please get it. just understand that there can be side effects, and that's something we're really going to talk about next class. But
I always tell my mothers, try it without and try to go as long as you possibly can.
Well, I think I even told y'all that. Order the epidural.
Right,
Have
because
it
if
there,
you,
because
yeah,
if you do decide to need it.
and it's not
then it's
there, it
there.
might be too late.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Exactly. So
I ordered one, I never used it, and even when I had the second C-section, I refused an epidural. I mean, you can do this. I was like,
Really?
you can do a spinal block, it works the same way. Then it's one shot, and I'm not laying on a tube. I don't have that needle stuck in my back. It's
Oh
a
my
one
God,
shot
that
in and out
needle.
deal.
Oh my God.
So I did
that needle is
spinal
fine.
block.
it's not a needle. It's actually just a plastic tube. It's
But
not a
it feel
needle.
like it's about the size
It
of
is
this
the
thing
size
right
of a
here.
pen.
It's ridiculous. Like, and
It's
if you
not
move,
that
it's
big.
to me
I
it's
took a
scary.
picture in the.
It's like if you move, they'll tell you. If you move, don't move. If you move, you could be paralyzed. And it's too much mental with everything that's, going on. That's just my personal opinion, to each his own, but
It's good to have the
I always
inside
try,
track, honestly.
I always try to deter the people from, cause
But
you
it's
miss it.
your decision.
Yeah, it is.
yes,
It's
yes.
not even Chris's
I
decision.
think I would do what she said. I think I would, try to go as long as I could if it was impossible for me to do, which nothing's impossible. But if I got to the point where I didn't think I could do it without it, then I would do something. But I would try to make it as long as I
Yeah.
could. For sure.
And then I must say, like, with my third child, that was my longest